Welcome to Major Gift Fundraising 101, Solicitation of Donors. This is a 5-part crash course designed specifically for beginners and growing nonprofits. Hi, I'm Teresa Davis, and I have more than 30 years of experience as an advancement fundraising executive, frontline fundraiser, and development educator. I have a bachelor's in business administration from Arizona State University and a master's in public administration from the University of Southern California. In the first video in this series, you learned how to identify new potential donors to support your nonprofit's cause. Next, through the process of qualification, you assess the likelihood of that person actually making a major gift to your organization. Once you determined that they were likely to make a major gift at some point, you started them on the journey of falling in love with the work and impact of your nonprofit to the point of wanting to invest in its success. Now you have this new major gift prospect. They love the work that your organization is doing. They've attended your events. They've made donations, but not at the level of their capacity. And you know that they're philanthropic because they have made large gifts elsewhere. They love your organization and continue to be engaged. Well, guess what? It's time to ask for a major level gift. This is called solicitation, and it's the 4th step in the donor's philanthropic journey. Solicitation is the formal invitation to a philanthropic investor or donor to make a charitable gift to support a specific program, project, or institutional priority. Now, some people are afraid to ask for a gift, but don't be afraid. It's a process, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So let's use a case study. To help you better understand how to make a solicitation, let's walk through the process using a fictional nonprofit called Valley Comfort Shelter, and you are the major gift officer. The Valley Comfort Shelter, otherwise known as VCS, provides support services for the unhoused in a small rural town in Northeast Ohio. It's located on the south side, where the largest homeless population of the community resides. The shelter's CEO, Julia Harris, wants to extend services to the east side, where there are also many unhoused. They have a particularly difficult time in the winters because of the isolation. The cold is brutal, and they camp out in abandoned cars deep in the woods. There is no public transportation, making it difficult for them to get to the shelter for food and a warm bed. Tim Brady is the Valley Comfort Shelter director and manages its day-to-day operations. He recommended that they extend services by building a second shelter on the east side and calling it the Gathering Place. It's an idea that Julia just loves, believing that the name conveys a place of community, warmth, and comfort. Perhaps it would lure some of the unhoused into spending time there to get warm and have a decent meal. Now, Tim suggested that they purchase the old Miller farmhouse on that side of town and refurbish it. Great idea, right? Well, he also analyzed the cost of making it happen. While VCS could centralize some of its operations, for example, the kitchen could be at VCS and food delivered to the gathering place daily, the project would be costly to pull off. There is the refurbishment, additional staff, extra van to transport food and supplies, utilities, maintenance, and so forth. Tim came up with a price tag of $1.4 million. That would be $400,000 for the purchase and refurbishment of the farmhouse and purchase of the van. He also recommends that $1 million is used to establish a restricted operational endowment. These are funds that the shelter just does not have without disturbing its cash reserves, and that's something that the Board of Trustees forbids them to do, so Julia would have to raise the money. You have been with VCS for 6 years, and until recently, have been the Director of Annual Giving. Last year, you were promoted to Major Gift Officer. The Gathering Place project was presented to the development team yesterday, and you believe that you have a wonderful prospective donor. Michael Felino. He's the CEO of Felino Furniture, a national furniture maker specializing in the Amish style of design. His sister Lydia lives on the east side. About 2 years ago, she fell on hard times. She had a home, but little money for food or anything else. Out of shame, she didn't tell the family, and it was an easy secret to keep as the family lives in Pennsylvania. VCS helped Lydia with food for a time until she got back on her feet. She shared her story with family a year ago, and a grateful Michael became engaged with VCS. He purchased a $1,000 table at the fundraising gala and sponsored the holiday open house with a gift of $50,000 that paid for food, some presents, light entertainment, and provided a little extra for the food pantry. You had met Lydia one day while she was sitting in the common room, and it was shortly after she started coming to the shelter. Over time, the two of you became friendly. It was you who convinced her to talk with her family and even joined them on the phone call. You became like a family member to them. Although you are a new major gift officer, you are the right person to ask Michael to make this substantial gift to fund the gathering place. So number one, let's prepare for the conversation. Ask for the meeting. Be honest about its purpose. You might say something like, "Hi, Michael. I would like to talk with you about the Gathering Place project that Julia introduced at the open house last Saturday. I think that you would appreciate some of the specifics of how it will help the residents on the east side, and I wonder if you might like to be involved. Would you be available for lunch in the next couple of weeks?" Now let's assume that's what you said, and Michael said that he would be delighted to see you. He's coming to town to see Lydia next week and could meet you for lunch then. Recruit a topical expert to join your conversation. For an ask the size of $1.4 million, you want to be able to answer every question that Michael might have. Major gift officers should be able to talk about a program or project in broad strokes. However, the MGO should have someone at the solicitation meeting who knows the minute details and can explain them clearly. Invite Tim Brady to join you and Michael for lunch. You asked and he said yes. However, you think that it would be helpful for the two of you to talk about what the best approach to the conversation might be. You're right. And so schedule a time for you and Tim to have a pre-meeting prep. So identify the focal points during your pre-meeting prep. Give Tim a written bio of Michael Foligno and walk through it with him. The two have met, but only a couple of times. You want to be sure that he knows who knows who Michael is and what inspires his philanthropy. Ask Tim to explain to you which elements of the gathering place he and Julia believe will have the greatest impact on the community and why. Agree on the goal of the meeting. Is it to get Michael to make a gift of $1.4 million that day, or is it to inspire his deep interest in the project and agreement that he will entertain a proposal? You both decided that the goal is to get him to entertain a proposal. Identify which elements of the project will be most meaningful to Michael. It's the intersection between what Michael cares deeply about and what the gathering place would offer. For example, you believe that he will be happy about the location being on the east side, making resources easier for people on that side of town to access because his sister Lydia lives there. The only reason that Lydia was able to get over to the Valley Comfort Shelter on the south side is that a friend would drive her to it once a week. So craft the meeting agenda. Determine what the location and structure of the meeting will be. In this case, you and Tim think that it would be great to have lunch in Julia's conference room at VCS. Michael always seems energized by being around the hum of activity at the shelter. Also, it would give Julia a chance to say hello. Then you can drive him to the site and walk him through the farmhouse, helping him imagine what it could be and how it would help the unhoused in the area. He has been in the area before to see Lydia. However, on this visit, he could be reminded of how remote the area is. Be sure to ask Michael beforehand if he is okay with the agenda for the day and confirm how much time he will have. Agree on which parts of the meeting that day that you and Tim will have. For example, you would be in charge of hosting the meeting, thanking Michael for coming, reintroducing him to Tim, and reminding everyone of why you're meeting on the agenda for that day. Tim would talk about the project and why it's important. He could host the tour of the farmhouse and help Michael imagine what it could be and the costs involved. You are the best person to extend the ask to Michael and be responsible for any follow-up. You're sure to run all this by Julia before the meeting and invite her input. Be sure to follow up with Michael via email to confirm the logistics for the day, the meeting participants, agenda, time, location, and parking. Number 2, making the ask. So you're going to be greeting at the Valley Comfort Shelter. Remember that you are the host for today's meeting, ensuring that things stay on track. Greet Michael when he arrives, thank him for coming, and reintroduce him to Tim. Take the opportunity to make a deeper connection. Walk through the kitchen so that Michael can see the team preparing for the evening meal and say hello. Then go past the food pantry where people are receiving care packages to go. Lydia received many care packages from the shelter. Proceed to the conference room where a small buffet is set. Julia drops by to say hello, which you prearranged. She makes apologies for not being able to join you, but thanks Michael for his interest in learning more about the gathering place. Now here's a note. If you had been meeting at a restaurant, you would have encouraged the group to place their orders before launching into the agenda. That way the conversation isn't interrupted. Once everyone has their food and is settled at the table, invite Tim to talk about the project, why an additional shelter on the east side, how the old Mitchell farmhouse meets the needs for a facility, what programs will be administered from there, and how it would benefit the unhoused community. Talk about what would happen if the shelter is not opened in that area. Focus on anticipated program impacts that you know Michael cares about. During the conversation, listen closely to Michael's questions and his answers so that you can gauge his level of interest. Now it's on to the site tour. You've had lunch and you're heading out to tour the site. On the drive over to the site, Tim should point out characteristics of the area that make it remote and difficult for the unhoused to get proper services. No public transportation, people stay to themselves in the thickly wooded area, the winters are harsh and snow not always cleared as well as in town. Once at the farmhouse, Tim should tour both the outside and inside of the property, explaining how programs will be administered throughout. After you've toured the inside of the house, Tim can tell Michael that you've asked him to share the project costs with him and ask if that would be all right. Once Michael agrees, the three of you can sit at the kitchen table that Tim put there to do work, and he should give a brief document outlining the budget to each of you so that you can follow along. After Tim goes over the financials, you ask Michael if he has any questions. You hope that he does. It will give you and Tim an opportunity to overcome all of his objections. Once all have been addressed, you say to Michael something like, I know that you've expressed how thankful you are that the shelter was able to help Lydia in her time of need. We were fortunate that she was able to get to us because a friend would drive her over to the south side. Most of the unhoused over here are not that fortunate. We know that the gathering place would provide much needed care right here where they live. However, as Tim has shared, it's an expensive project. Would you be willing to take a look at a proposal that outlines the project in writing and consider making a gift of $1.4 million to fund it? Then wait until he responds. It's okay if there's a bit of silence while he thinks about it. Don't become nervous and start talking. By your asking Michael if he would review a proposal, you've done two things. One, you've relieved him of the pressure of responding on the spot, in which case he may say no rather than agree to a seven-figure gift without much thought. And if he says yes, you've created a second chance to talk with him about the project when following up about the proposal. Michael says that he'd be happy to review a proposal. He didn't say anything about making a gift though, but that's okay. Now that you know what Michael has questions about, you can tailor the proposal to address them. Thank Michael again for taking the time to learn about the project and tell him that you will get a proposal to him by the end of the week. Number 3, the post meeting. So send Michael an email after the meeting that same day, thanking him again for meeting with you. Reiterate in the email any information that you're to get to him, like the proposal, answers to any questions that you and Tim could not answer, and so on. And tell him when you'll send it. Have a post-meeting debrief with Tim to discuss how you think the meeting went and if there are any issues that you need to address. Give Julia a debrief of the meeting, gain her insights, and let her know what the next steps are. Ask her if she'd send a note to Michael and that you'd be happy to create a draft for her. Put a summary of your meeting with Michael in the donor database as a contact report. That's actually what they call them very often, so that other staff will know the specifics of the last interaction that the organization had with him. So now let's talk a little bit about the actual proposal. So you officially made the ask of Michael at the farmhouse. The proposal will be the solicitation in writing, formally outlining what you're asking for. At the very least, it should describe the problem and the specific way in which the gathering place would address the need. Describe anticipated outcomes, provide an overview of the full project cost, and invite Michael to make the gift of $1.4 million that would fund the project. Take the time to craft a compelling case for support. During the meeting, you gained valuable insights about what Michael was excited about or where he had trepidation. The proposal is an opportunity for you to underscore what captured his imagination and overcome any objections that he had. Incorporate color and photos that support the text to engage Michael and invoke emotion. Get the proposal to him in the promised timeline so that one, you're known for keeping your word, which is really important, and second, you don't want the excitement that Michael felt for the project to grow cold. Hooray! The solicitation is done. The major gift process really is, or the solicitation is really a process. You identify the potential supporters for the organizational priorities by considering existing, engaged donors to your nonprofit who have a passion for that or related projects. Request a meeting with the donor so that you can educate them about the project and gauge their interest. Next, recruit a topical expert within your organization to attend the meeting with you. Have a pre-meeting briefing so that you both understand the project, the donor's motivations, and approach that you will take at the meeting to make the case for support. Describe the project and its importance to the donor, engaging as many of their senses as possible: sight, sound, touch, smell, and so forth. Give an overview of the amount of funding needed and why. Ask them if they have questions and/or insights. Underscore the elements of the project that excite them. Overcome any objections or misgivings that they have. Invite them to review a full proposal and consider making a donation. Give them a specific dollar amount. If the donor declines to entertain a proposal, say, "I appreciate that you would spend some time today to learn about the project. Thank you. Would you tell us why you have decided not to go forward?" After the response, you can decide then whether or not their objections can be overcome or if you should just move on. Craft the proposal based on what you learned about the donor at the meeting. It should be tailored to express the project in a way that underscores those elements that excited the donor and overcomes any objections or misgivings that they had. Well, that's it. So did you think that I was going to let you get away without any homework? You know me better than that by now. Practice makes perfect. In our case study, Michael Foligno agreed to consider a proposal of $1.4 million to open the gathering place. What if it had gone the other way? For your homework, let's pretend that Michael did not agree to consider the proposal. Come up with 3 reasons why he would say no, and what you would say to overcome each one of his objections. So for example, one reason that Michael might object to a proposal is that while he thinks the project is terrific, he has recently made a large commitment to another nonprofit and he does not have access to $1.4 million at this time. You might attempt to overcome the objection by telling him that you appreciate his position. Then ask him if he might be able to help us get the project started by making a leadership gift of $400,000. It would cover the cost of getting the project done while the team approached others to build the operating endowment. Michael's gift would give others the confidence to make an investment, knowing that the project is definitely happening. Okay, now that was a freebie. Now you come up with 2 more. You don't have to do this assignment alone. Have fun and invite someone else to come up with the objections while you craft ways to overcome them. The more of these that you do, the better you'll become at doing them. Well, that really is it. If you like this video, please be sure to like it, subscribe, and share this video with someone you think might like to see it. If you are already a Major Gift Officer, you know that we are a community that just loves to share. So please think about one of your winning proposals and tell us why you think it did the trick, and leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.